Have you ever looked at a sports car and thought, wow, that looks exactly like a caffeinated frog that just heard the juiciest piece of neighborhood gossip? Well, strap in and keep your arms and legs inside the surprisingly tiny vehicle, because today we are diving headfirst into the aggressively adorable world of the 1961 Austin-Healey Sprite. Before we explore why this magnificent machine looks like it's perpetually surprised to see you, do me a quick favor. Smash that subscribe button, hit the like, and drop a comment below letting me know if you'd rather fight one horse-sized duck or drive one duck-sized car. Let's get moving. Let us travel back in time to the late 1950s and early 1960s in Britain. The tea was hot, the empire was shrinking, and a legendary automotive engineer named Donald Healey had a brilliant, slightly mad idea. He wanted to build a sports car for the common man. He envisioned a car so remarkably small and undeniably cheap that a bloke could literally store it in his bicycle shed. I am not making that up. That was an actual, stated design parameter. Can it share a living space with a Schwinn? He teamed up with the British Motor Corporation, a company famous for building cars that occasionally ran on alternating Tuesdays, to bring this vision to life. To keep the accountants from having a collective stroke, they decided to raid the corporate parts bin, using bits and pieces from the wildly unsporty Morris Minor and the Austin A35. It was essentially a Frankenstein's monster if Frankenstein had raided a British thrift store instead of a spooky graveyard. The ultimate goal was to make it cheap, cheerful, and capable of going fast enough to ruin your hair, but not fast enough to actually send you to the afterlife. Now, let's talk about the elephant in the room, or rather the frog in the driveway. The Austin-Healey Sprite is globally recognized, celebrated, and gently mocked for its face. In the United Kingdom, they affectionately call it the Frogeye. Over here in the US, we call it the Bugeye. Whatever you choose to call it, it looks like an amphibian that just accidentally sat on an upwards-facing thumbtack. Interestingly, the original design actually called for sleek pop-up headlights. Donald Healey wanted them to fold flat into the hood to make the car incredibly aerodynamic and modern, but the corporate bean counters at BMC, who I can only assume were fueled entirely by dry toast and misery, looked at the cost of designing a pop-up headlight mechanism and said, absolutely not. So instead of paying for a redesign of the hood, they just bolted the headlights upright directly on top of it in a completely fixed position. The result is a car that looks like it is in a constant, unblinking state of wide-eyed panic. It is physically impossible to be intimidated by a Bugeye Sprite. If you aggressively rev your engine at a stoplight in one of these, people don't want to street race you. They want to feed you a fly, pat you on the head, and ask if you're a good boy. But the ruthless cost-cutting didn't stop at the headlights. Oh no, the accountants were just getting warmed up. Do you enjoy opening your car door with a convenient handle on the outside? Well, too bad, Your Highness. The Bugeye does not possess exterior door handles. To get in, you have to awkwardly slide your hand down inside the door panel and pull the interior latch, guaranteeing you look like a poorly trained car thief every single time you want to go to the grocery store. Do you like putting your groceries in a trunk? Great, but there is no trunk lid. To put anything in the back, you have to fold the seats forward and shove your items into the dark, spelunking abyss located somewhere behind your spine. If you drop a single grape or a loose coin back there, it belongs to the car now. It is gone, forever, sacrificed to the gods of British engineering. Underneath that aggressively cheerful hood lies the beating heart of a champion. And by champion, I mean a very asthmatic riding lawnmower. The 1961 Sprite is powered by a 948cc A-Series 4-cylinder. Let's talk raw, unadulterated tire-shredding power. This bad boy pumps out a staggering 43 horsepower. 43. There are heavy-duty blenders at Jamba Juice with more low-end torque, To put that monumental power into perspective, if you were driving a Sprite and turn on the headlights, the radio, and the windshield wipers at exactly the same time, you will probably stall the engine. The 0 to 60 time isn't measured in seconds, it's measured with a calendar and a sundial. It takes about 20 seconds to hit 60 miles per hour, assuming you have a strong tailwind, a slight downhill slope, and you decided to skip dessert to save weight. The top speed was claimed to be around 80 miles per hour, but getting there required the bravery of an Apollo astronaut and the reckless disregard for human life of a squirrel crossing a 6-lane highway. But here's the magical, undisputed secret of the Austin-Healey Sprite. It fundamentally does not matter that it is slow, because you're sitting approximately 1.5 inches off the pavement. When your rear end is practically scraping the painted yellow lines on the asphalt, going 40 miles per hour feels like you're breaking the sound barrier in a fighter jet. You don't drive a Sprite, you wear it. It's less of an automobile and more of a motorized pair of metal trousers. Because it weighs only around 1,400 pounds, which is roughly the same weight as the owner's manual for a modern Chevy Suburban, you don't need fancy power steering. You just point the steering wheel, and the car aggressively darts in that direction like a Jack Russell Terrier that just saw a squirrel. It has rack and pinion steering, a remarkably stiff suspension, and practically zero body roll. It handles exactly like a go-kart on rails. Sure, if you hit a pothole, your spine will absorb 100% of the impact, and your dentist will have to put your fillings back in. But the corners are glorious. You can take a 30-mile-per-hour curve at exactly 30 miles per hour and feel like a Formula One legend taking the checkered flag. Just pray you never have to merge onto a modern interstate. Driving a 1961 Sprite in today's traffic is an exercise in extreme existential terror. You're looking squarely at the lug nuts of Toyota Camrys. If a modern pickup truck pulls up next to you at a red light, you're staring directly into their exhaust pipe. You have to drive defensively. And by defensively, I mean you have to assume that absolutely nobody can see you, because they literally can't. You're effectively a speed bump with a smiley face. Let's also talk about the weather protection, which is a very generous term for the cruel joke BMC provided. If it starts raining, you can't just push a button to put the roof up. The roof of a 1961 Sprite is essentially a camping tent that you have to assemble while getting aggressively soaked by British drizzle. It involves snapping tight canvas to the windshield, wrestling with metal poles that pinch your fingers, and muttering words your mother told you never to say. By the time you actually get the roof erected, the storm is past, you're completely drenched, and the inside of the car smells distinctly like a wet dog. And the windows, they aren't glass that rolls down. They are completely removable side screens made of plastic that will scratch if you look at them too hard. Of course, we cannot discuss a classic British sports car without mentioning the electrical system. The Sprite features electronics by Lucas, a company famously known among car enthusiasts as the Prince of Darkness. The running joke is that Lucas invented the 3-position switch: dim, flicker, and off. Driving a Sprite at night is less about illumination and more about relying on echolocation and prayer. And let's not forget the traditional British rust prevention system. It leaks oil everywhere. The Austin-Healey Sprite marks its territory in your garage, on your driveway, and anywhere else it happens to rest its weary little wheels. It's not leaking, it's just sweating from all that 0 to 60 exertion. Yet, despite the lack of a trunk, the missing door handles, the electrics that function like a magic 8-ball, and the engine that produces less power than a determined cyclist, the 1961 Austin-Healey Sprite is an absolute masterpiece. It represents a beautiful bygone era when cars didn't need 800 horsepower, heated massage seats, and a giant flat-screen TV glued to the dashboard to be fun. It's a car that literally forces you to smile. You cannot be angry driving a Bugeye. You can't even be angry looking at one. It's a four-wheeled golden retriever. It's pure, unadulterated joy wrapped in a tiny frog-shaped package. If everyone drove an Austin-Healey Sprite, world peace would be achieved by Tuesday, mostly because nobody could go fast enough to invade anyone else, and we'd all be too busy trying to reach inside our doors to let ourselves out.